There's a particular kind of pain that doesn't have a name yet. It's the pain of slowly realizing that someone you trusted, someone you laughed with, someone you maybe even loved, was never really in your corner. And the worst part isn't the betrayal itself. The worst part is looking back and seeing all the signs that were there the whole time, hiding in plain sight, dressed up as normal behavior. That's what we're talking about today. And I want you to stay with me through this one, because what I'm about to share could quietly change the way you see some of the most important relationships in your life. People who secretly carry resentment or hidden contempt towards you are rarely dramatic about it. They don't announce it. They don't show up with cruelty written across their face. In fact, most of them will smile at you. They'll show up to your birthday. They'll ask how your day was. But underneath all of that is a current of energy that, if you pay close enough attention, you can actually feel. And most people realize this too late, after they've invested years of emotional energy into someone who was quietly rooting against them the whole time. I've lived long enough to sit across from people I thought were my friends and feel something I couldn't put words to at the time, a kind of low-grade unease, like something just slightly off, the way a picture frame on the wall is 1 degree crooked and you can't stop noticing it even if you can't explain why. That feeling was always trying to tell me something, and it took me too long to learn how to listen to it. So let's talk about the first hidden behavior, and this one is subtle enough that a lot of people brush it off entirely. It's what happens when you share good news with someone, a promotion, a new relationship, something you worked hard for, and instead of celebrating with you, they go quiet for just a beat too long. Or they respond with something that sounds like congratulations on the surface, but has a faint edge underneath it. Something like, "Oh wow, really? I didn't think that would actually work out." That sentence, right there. Pay attention to sentences like that, because emotionally mature people understand this. Genuine joy for someone else doesn't come wrapped in doubt. A person who is truly happy for you doesn't need to slip a small wound inside their congratulations. Psychologists call this phenomenon tall poppy syndrome in some circles, but in everyday life, it just looks like someone who can't fully celebrate you without reminding you in some quiet way that they had reservations. And the reason behind it is almost always the same. Your success makes them uncomfortable because somewhere inside, they've already decided a story about where you belong, and your growth doesn't fit that story. The second behavior is more painful, because it involves the people who use humor as a delivery system for cruelty. And I know you've experienced this. Someone in your life who makes jokes at your expense, your appearance, your choices, your past, your insecurities, and then the moment you react, turns it around on you. You're too sensitive. It was just a joke. Can't you take a little teasing? This silent behavior says a lot about someone, because humor, real humor, punches up or punches sideways. It never punches at the people who trust you. When someone repeatedly targets the things they know make you feel vulnerable and then hides behind laughter, that is not comedy. That is a controlled delivery of contempt. And it's designed to keep you second-guessing yourself so you never actually confront what's happening. Think about someone in your life right now. Is there a person whose jokes always seem to land just a little too close to the things that genuinely hurt you? Someone who seems almost energized by your discomfort even as they're laughing? That's not a personality quirk. That is information about how that person actually sees you. The third behavior is about your failures versus your successes and the difference in how someone responds to each one. Here's what I've noticed over the years. People who secretly resent you are often more comfortable around you when things are going wrong. When you're struggling, when you're confused, when life has knocked you down a little, that's when they lean in. They're helpful, they're present, they seem genuinely engaged, but the moment things start turning around for you, something shifts. They become less available, harder to reach. Vaguely unsupportive in ways that are difficult to articulate, and you find yourself in the strange position of feeling more alone in your wins than you did in your losses. This is one of the more psychologically layered patterns on this list, because these people have genuinely convinced themselves that they care about you. What they actually care about is the version of you that doesn't threaten them, the version of you that needs them. And when you stop needing them, when you start to rise, the discomfort they feel comes out as distance. Many good people ignore this red flag because they chalk it up to their friend being busy or going through something or just being a private person. But if someone's absence consistently tracks with your progress, that's not a coincidence. The fourth hidden behavior is one that I think is the most quietly damaging of all, and it has to do with how someone speaks about you when they think you're not paying attention. Or more specifically, the version of you they put into the world when you're not in the room. Everyone talks about other people, okay? That's just human. But there's a difference between someone who might mention your name casually and someone who consistently frames you as smaller, less capable, or more flawed than you actually are. If you've ever found out through a third person that someone was describing you in a way that genuinely surprised you, not because it was flattering, but because it didn't match who you know yourself to be, take that seriously. The public story someone tells about you reveals the private story they're carrying about you. Fake love often feels real in the beginning because people who secretly resent you don't start that way. Most of them started out genuinely caring, or at least genuinely neutral. The resentment builds over time, often without either person recognizing it, and the way it first leaks out is usually in the small, unguarded moments. A comment made to a mutual friend, a version of you shared with someone new, a story told with just enough spin to make you look a little worse than you actually were. The fifth behavior is about boundaries and how certain people react when you start enforcing yours. Because here's what's true. Someone who genuinely respects you will not take it personally when you set a limit. They might need a moment to adjust. They might even express that they're disappointed, but they will ultimately respect your right to protect your own peace. A person who secretly resents you, however, responds to your boundaries with something that feels like punishment. They pull back their warmth. They become passive. They let you feel the weight of their displeasure in a way that makes you want to take the boundary back just to restore the peace. Modern relationships are emotionally exhausting because this pattern has become almost normalized. We've started accepting that asking for what we need should come with a cost, but it shouldn't. It never should. The sixth behavior is what I'd call support with an asterisk. This is where someone technically supports you, but always with a condition attached that you can't quite name. They'll help you, but they'll make sure to mention how much they helped. They'll show up for you, but they'll reference it later in moments of conflict. They'll say they believe in you, and then in the next breath suggest that maybe you're getting a little ahead of yourself. A person who truly loves you as a friend, as a partner, as family, gives their support without keeping a running tab. Because genuine care doesn't come with fine print. And the seventh behavior, and this is the one that stayed with me the longest in my own life, is the way someone responds to your emotional pain. Not what they say, how they respond, their body language, whether they move towards you or stay still, whether something in them softens, or whether you can sense, almost physically sense, that your pain is an inconvenience to them. People who carry hidden resentment toward you often struggle to sit inside your sadness with you because your vulnerability asks something of them that they don't want to give. And so they minimize it. They pivot to their own experiences. They offer solutions when you just needed someone to stay. And you walk away from those conversations feeling strangely more alone than you did before you reached out. This silent behavior says more about a person than almost anything else I've ever observed. Because how someone holds your pain is a direct window into how much they actually value you. Now, I want to be careful here because I don't want you walking away from this video seeing enemies everywhere. Not everyone who has a bad day or misses a cue is secretly against you. People are complicated. People are tired. People have their own unresolved pain that bleeds into the way they show up for others. What I'm talking about is a consistent pattern, a pattern that when you look at it honestly and without trying to excuse it, tells a coherent story about how someone actually feels about you underneath the surface. And here's what I really need you to take with you today. You are allowed to trust what you feel. That quiet, persistent sense that something is off. That's not paranoia. That's your nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do. Your body keeps a record of every interaction, every tone of voice, every moment where the warmth felt just slightly performed. And it's been trying to show you that record for a long time. You don't have to confront everyone. You don't have to make dramatic decisions today. But you do owe it to yourself to be honest about who in your life is genuinely pouring into you and who is quietly draining you while wearing the costume of a friend. Because your energy is not unlimited. Your trust is not something to be wasted. And the time you spend trying to earn loyalty from people who are never going to give it freely, That's time you could have spent building something real with someone who actually sees you. You deserve people in your life who celebrate you without condition, who hold your pain like it matters, who talk about you the same way whether you're in the room or not, who are more comfortable around you when you're rising than when you're falling. That's not too much to ask for. That is the very minimum of what genuine connection looks like. If this video made you stop and think about your own relationships, about the people you've been giving your trust to, about the ways you've maybe been talking yourself out of what you already know, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What came up for you? What did you recognize? Your story might be exactly what someone else in this community needs to hear today. If this resonated with you, please take a second to hit that like button. It helps this message find the people who truly need it. And if you haven't subscribed to Wise Heart Talks yet, I'd be honored to have you here. We have these kinds of honest, quiet conversations regularly, the kind that don't judge you, don't rush you, and always leave you with something real to carry forward. Take good care of yourself. You deserve people who do the same.